now 7 hours 12 on the 15th day of December in the year 2021. Yes, it's the middle of the month. It is when people start catching a frenzy. Christmas is next week. Oh God, I ain't done the Christmas shopping yet. I never cleaned this house. Them children, this is sheer stress. Since last week, I tell them clean the room. I tell them start cobwebbing. Yes. By this time, a lot of people are stressing over their preparations to Christmas. And they're stressing because one of the things which they do is that they leave the muck in place all year round. They give you a slam dash all year round. They pick up the broom and and so on and so forth. And so they allow the muck to build up all year round. And then when you get to this time of the year, they suddenly realize, as they say, cleanliness is next to godliness. And so it is time to clean the place and spruce it up and make it look bright again, because we're going to have a good time. Right? It's Christmas time. We must have a good time. And so, yes, that is what is happening. It's not only happening in the homes and in communities, it's happening nationally. It is happening nationally. By this time, the ministries are planning how they are going to ensure that the people that are enslaved and treated like slaves and treated like outcasts all year round will go home feeling that they are beloved by their employers, both private and public sector employers. Yes, around this time, Christmas parties are being planned. And in cases where there are no Christmas parties, they're planning how to give you a small piece or a hamper or a gift voucher. Right? One of the things I know with gift vouchers is that they ensure that the money stays in the loop. The gift vouchers are always from some place or to some place that are enabling the cabal. So look out, you're going to see lots of gift vouchers in workplaces if you haven't started getting them as yet. I remember the gift vouchers that Prestataria Gal had given. $15,000 for photographs here and there. $4,000 for shoes there and here. Right, that's what they do. This is the time when a lot of money is going to be channeled to the enablers of this cabal. And while the public servants, majority black public servants, will think that, hey, we get in actuality, you have not gotten anything. You haven't gotten anything, because these one-off gifts are now for now. They don't have a long-lasting impact on your life and your well-being and the lives of your children and your next generations. They don't. Because, as we like to say in this country, food, let's joke. When you eat in 8 hours, you shit it out. Yeah, strong language. Right? You eat that, it is processed, and then it is expelled from your body. Some will argue that it has a long-lasting impact on your nutrition. But let's talk about long-lasting impact on these gifts. If you're looking for long-lasting impact, you have to be given gifts that are capital in nature. Gifts that can form capital. Gifts that can acquire capital. I'll stop coming on this program with a guilt trip. I didn't ask anybody who just wait till year end for clean them up. I made my statement. Morning, y'all. Morning. Brenda Casey, how you doing, y'all? Lynette Fraser, morning. Yes. If you want meaningful gifts, or if your employers want to give you gifts, and they're genuine in giving you gifts, let them give you gifts that are tangible. Gifts that will make a real difference in your life. This administration says, in lieu of Christmas party, in place of Christmas parties, we are going to give you $7,000 each. And I want to take your bet. That is not across the public service. That is not across the public service. There is going to be some obscured criteria that will determine whether or not you get $7,000 as a gift in lieu of your Christmas party. One of our viewers we were having a discussion on this thing. An individual took umbrage at the fact that the government is giving $7,000 in lieu of Christmas party. Well, my immediate response was, I'd rather $7,000 than a Christmas party. Because I will go to the Christmas party, I will eat, I will drink, maybe as much as I can eat and drink, depending on how lavish the party is. But it will cost me a whole lot to prepare to go to the party. You gotta look good, you gotta smell good, and all of that. And so it will cost you a lot more than $7,000 to go to the party. To eat little free food and drink little free liquor and so on. I'd rather stay in my corner and get $7,000. But what the viewer pointed out is that while that makes a lot of sense, the government can and should offer more than $7,000 in lieu of Christmas parties. We are now a producing state, we got access to money. That's one of the arguments. I can support that argument by saying this. If they were to host a Christmas party, or when they host Christmas parties, or functions, whatever they call them, they spend more than $7,000 per person. When you factor in the cost of the venue, and the cost of the liquor, and the cost of the food, and decorations, and everything, they spend way more than $7,000 per person. And so, yes, I'm in agreement. They can offer and should give more than $7,000. But y'all, they're bad. Any little handout, $35 US, any little handout is nice time in the eyes, in the mindset of the cabal which runs this country and manages its resources. But when they are while they are throwing pittances to the public servants, they are doing wonders. They are doing wonders. There are other communities where they have their strongholds. What is they doing? We continue to talk about the discriminatory nature in which this government manages the country's resources. Right? And so let's talk about that. They're giving you $7,000 in lieu of parties. What you do with that $7,000 is, quite frankly, your business. Maybe it will ensure some people get pepper pot. And a pound of black cake might be $7,000, so I don't know. Right? But that aside, I received information that says only the police and the military, joint services, will receive tax-free payments at the end of this year. Tax-free payments at the end of this year. You know, they usually butter up the joint services and so on with a tax-free 1 month salary bonus. I understand it's back in the loop. So the police and soldiers and so on can look forward to that bribe. Why do I call it bribe? Because look around the world and you will recognize that when a nation is being treated badly by its government or by its politicians, the joint services, mainly the army, steps in and rectifies the situation or attempts to rectify the situation. They speak up in defense of their citizens, their fellow citizens. But in Guyana, don't expect that from the military. Don't expect that from the police. In places like Jamaica and so on, the police stand down. They're going strike too. Right? But in Guyana, don't expect it. Because many of those in the military and in the army are of the opinion that they are living a better quality of life. And they're more favored by the cabal than the ordinary citizen. Right? And what gives them a better quality of life? A one-off, 1 month salary bonus at the end of the year. A freedom to be corrupt and abusive of other citizens without having to face the law. Good? That is what gives them a better quality of life. And so for as long as the government, the cabal allows them to be corrupt, as long as they can expect a 1 month bonus at the end of the year, they're good with that. As long as they can jump on the patrol vehicle day or night and go into a community and harass somebody and get a raise, they're good with that. That was the other citizens. And so the government will always continue that they're good by allowing them those freedoms. Yes, the government are facilitators of crime. And so they keep them quiet. So don't expect them to stand up for anything for you. But they are going to get their 1 month bonus, tax-free. While you're going to receive your $2,000 a month back pay, or approximately $2,000 a month back pay, with taxes on it. And while the police and soldiers tell themselves, the majority black police and soldiers tell themselves that they're better off than the average citizen. The people who are really better off than the average citizens are those in the PPP stronghold and those who are enabling the PPP. For example, those who are PYO members, Progressive Youth Organization members, those who live in a certain geographic area of this country. Let me tell you all something. Credible sources have informed me that in Region 6, PYO members were used to identify farmers who were to benefit from quote-unquote flood relief. Now, usually, the task of identifying farmers who suffered as a result of flood or any other catastrophic event falls to extension officers. The Ministry of Agriculture employs extension officers, right? Employs extension officers. They liaise with farmers all year round. Farmers have a problem, they contact them, they work together, they find solutions and so on. Farmers, they give guidance to farmers all year round. So they usually know who the farmers are and things like the size of the farms and so on. And so if it comes to an assessment of flood relief, the extension officers have that information and can work with the farmer to make a proper presentation and in terms of what was lost, a proper assessment and so on. But in Region 5 and 6, the PPP sidelined the agricultural officers, the extension officers, and they gave that task to PYO members, Progressive Youth Officers members, PYO, Progressive Youth Organization. The PYO is the youth arm of the PPP. And so they give it to the youth arm of the PPP members. They give it to them to do this work, this assessment. What is the end result? The end result is that many farmers who are bona fide farmers did not receive a fair assessment of their losses, and in some instances did not receive any assessment. So some of them received compensation for their losses, others received no compensation, and yet there are others who received compensation that was not adequately calculated or fairly calculated. Keep that in mind. My information is that approximately 100 PYO members were employed in Regions 5 and 6 to do this assessment. And at the end of the day, the amount of money that was paid out to the PYO members who did this assessment amounted to more than what the farmers got for their losses. I'm told that the PYO members raked in anywhere between $200 and $300 million. You hear what I'm saying? $200 to $300 million, Guyanese dollars, taxpayers' money, was paid out to the members of the PYO for doing this. Many of the PYO officers, PYO members doing the assessment got far more money than the farmers who actually lost, who actually suffered a loss. And so here it is, the PPP again is using the country's resources to enrich its cohorts, its enablers, at the expense of citizens who are really suffering from losses and so on in this society. But don't expect anything to be said about it. Certainly not in the National Assembly. You ain't got no voice in the National Assembly. Right? Don't expect the opposition to make a big furore about it. They ain't got time for that. It's two things we're looking after now, Congress and Christmas. Both of them got seized. We ain't got time with anything else. Anything else can wait on the back burner. But this is what is happening. While public servants are receiving chicken feed money, like we call it, even in lieu of parties, the enablers of the PPP and those who the PPP wishes to keep happy are receiving big money. $250,000 to people who've already gotten their severance pay. That was paid out last weekend. $200 to $300 million paid out to PYO members for assessing flood damage in regions 5 and 6. Many of them receiving more money than the farmers who actually suffered the losses. $7,000 in lieu of Christmas parties to public servants in agencies where funds are available. But turn a fly on the wall and look for the gift packages which ministers and their assistants and their concubines and their minions will be taking home. No minister will go home with a $7,000 voucher. No minister's assistant will go home with a $7,000 voucher in lieu of party. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you they will be partying. Many of them at Sleep In and Palm Court and so on. And the bills will be sent to the ministry on the backs of the taxpayers. Keep that in mind. But it's Christmas and it's Congress. We ain't got time with that. Good? It is now 7 hours 34. And let us talk about rape. A lot of people don't like hear that word rape. It conjures up everything bad in the humankind. And let us talk about racism. Again, a lot of people don't like to hear about racism because it brings back bad memories and it paints a bad picture of humankind. But yesterday we learned of a letter written by someone named Roy Gokul. Yes, that's the name, Roy Gokul. To the president of the university that Dr. Hines lectures at. And according to that letter, Gokul argues that Dr. Hines is a racist because he has made it public that he likes his race most. He didn't say that he hates other races. He simply said he likes his race most. He likes all races, but he likes his race most, and that made him a racist. Gokul went on to say that Dr. Hines is a racist because he embraces black people such as Rickford Burke, Sherrod Duncan, and Mark Benchcap. He embraces them. And he calls them brothers. And so, because he calls people who look like him, maybe suffer some of the same consequences he suffers or suffered, are in a struggle in defense of black people in this country, and they're down-pressed in this country, because I'm sure Dr. Hines' struggle is not only for black people. It might be focused on the inequities which are affecting black people in the majority. But every other ethnic group benefits from the resolution of these issues. He's racist for that. He's racist because in Guyana, black people are majority public servants. They control most of the public service jobs. They have a lot of freedom. They can do as they like. Right? They can do as they like, including raping Indian women without consequence. In Guyana, 2021. Let's talk about racism and rape. If I'm racist, if Dr. Hines is racist for loving those of his ilk more than he loves others, so let it be. I would choose that too. Because I love my people more than I love anyone else. I love my children. I love all children. But I love my children more than I love anybody else's children. As old people say, me not sure me bad for nobody good. So if you were to listen to Goku, it would seem as though to avoid being considered racist or a hater in general, you have to profess a love for other people other than yourself, for people other than yourself. And so long as you don't put anybody above you, you are racist. Well, those of us who are black and proud, and those of us who are willing to stand up and fight for the right of citizens in this country who are being oppressed by this cabal, who happen to be the majority black, will wear that label, that banner, with pride. Call us racist. You see, the PPP over the years have come to understand one thing about black leaders in particular. Majority black leaders. If you want to shut them up, call them racist. Black people don't like to be called racist. Black people like to profess their love and show their embracing of others. They don't like to be called racist. So if you want to shut them up, if you want to put them in a spot, if you want them to cower in fear, call them racist. But all of us are not like that. Some of us are woke enough to understand the psychological warfare. And that is what it is, psychological warfare. Remember when the coalition was going after certain miscreants left behind by the past administration. All the Jack Dio cabal had to say from Freedom House is that the coalition is on a witch hunt against Indian people. It is racist. And just as the campaign to rid the public service, especially of the miscreants, started, it stopped. Because leaders in the coalition were not happy, couldn't deal with being called racist. And when it happened, I told a few friends of mine, including, God rest the dead, they say, Imran Khan. I said the coalition got y'all. I mean the PPP got y'all. They know. Black leaders don't like to be called racist. Whether they're guilty or otherwise. Once you call them racist, they will shut up. They will change course. The PPP always does it. Because they've always done it in the past and it has worked for them. This is 2021. There's some of us who don't give three hoots about who consider us racist. Because we recognize the importance of standing up for what is right and what is just. And since it affects majority black people, we have to speak in the name of black people to confront this injustice. But let us talk about racism. Race hate is promoted continuously in this country by the PPP and Indo-Guyanese. Not all Indo-Guyanese, but usually when the social scientist speaks, he speaks broadly, meaning the majority. So I don't have to stop to say majority Indo-Guyanese. I say Indo-Guyanese. You take it as a majority. There are exceptions to the rule. Race hate is inbred. As a part of the psyche of the average Indo-Guyanese. From birth, they paint the black man, the African man, as the bogeyman. They tell their children, if their children are misbehaving, behave yourself. I'm going to call a black man like Kaiwe. You hear me? Behave yourself. I'm going to call a black man. And so they teach their children to fear and despise black people. As they grow, many of their children, like every child, get attracted to children because they're people. But they get pulled aside. The black man, are you friend? What you do with the black man there? Because in their eyes, black people are lesser than they are. And so they keep teaching their children to despise black people, to hate black people for all kinds of reasons. Because black man got kidnapped by you. Black man a bully. Black man want everything for themselves. And that's what they teach their children. You see a black man, I got it. Not trust him. They smile in your face and behind your back, they put a dagger. I've been among them. I've seen them. Black man hungry belly. You know why they say that? Or how they justify that? Every opportunity they get, they offer you something. There are many of us who can't resist an offer. Why might we cook dal and rice today? Want some? And out of the kindness of our hearts, out of our humanity, black people generally don't like hurt other people's feelings. And so you might not want dal and rice, but you want to be nice to your neighbor or your friend. Or somebody you consider your neighbor or your friend. All right, man, I'm going to take some, no problem. And you're so nice, you're always nice, and they always offer you, and you always accept, and they form their opinion. Every time I offer a black man food, he take him. A hungry belly black man. I never come help me do this thing now. Me want to try this thing, but them by the home. Out of the goodness of your heart. But that helps them to fashion in their minds. A black man I want jankalar. That's how they bring their children up. You want something bad done? Call a black man. And many of us support the outlook because we are always willing to help. We're always willing to accept. We're always willing to be nice. And say they paint us all with this broad brush. And the myths live on. I mean, I want to with that to marry no black man because them black man hungry belly, them not like work. Every day them go shop go buy 2 pound sugar. I heard Indians say that. As a matter of fact, I know of an Indian guy who had a black friend, or at least the friend thought he was a friend, considered him a good friend. And he set eyes on his sister, the Indian guy's sister. And they started dating. And that is where the fallout came. Because the Indian guy didn't want the black guy to date his sister, regardless how much body friend they be. And at the end of the day, it came down to that. Me no want no black man take me sissy and punish she. Black man is punished and he go punish me sissy. Because that is what they taught from the cradle to the grave. That black people are inferior to them. That is racism. There's so many other examples, but I want to give it to you as raw as that. That is racism. I have Indian friends. At least I consider them my friends. I'm sure many of them consider me your friends. But just as I do with black people, I do with Indians. Me not licky. Me not eat about. Me never want. Me always just done it. No matter me hungry. Thank God, my children have the same attitude. They could go to their relatives' home and they're never hungry, even if they're hungry. Some of us need to adopt that attitude. Black man always want one handout. And it is that mentality, that mindset, black man always want one handout. That is why the government treats us the way they treat us. That is why the police can always get a handout at the end of the year, instead of meaningful wages and salaries increase. That is why the public servants can be given a handout, a pittance at the end of the year, instead of meaning salary and wages increase. Because they always want a handout. That is why the union leaders and representatives can be controlled, because they always want a handout. Here how it goes. Why you want a duty-free concession means a union rep, means a sharp stroke. I'm going to ask the finance minister, or I'm going to ask the labor minister if they can set up a duty-free allowance for me. That's where they want you. And you get your duty-free allowance. And you think that you are above the workers that you represent. You know driving car. But you have just compromised the ground on which you could have stood for your workers. Because when you go to that negotiation table next time around, you will be reminded that we were nice to you. We got you a car. And so you're caught up now in servitude. I gotta respect these people. They got me a duty-free concession. And if I don't play nice, they can withdraw it, or next time around, I can't get any. And so you compromise your own position and that of the workers because you always look for a handout. Some of us are guilty as hell for putting us in these difficult situations. Patrick Yard, Mark Light, They can't go negotiate with the government with any strength. Because they fell trapped. Like it is in the Indian psyche, they offered them gifts and they accepted. And fell into that trap. The snare was already there. And they will always do it. And they got some black man who not land. And so here again we are at the end of the year. People taking handouts. While the cabal and the enablers cut away the cream of the wealth of this country. Racism is part of the reason why public servants are treated the way they are treated. Why black employees in the private sector are treated the way they are treated. Because Indians have it in their psyche. From the cradle to the grave, they have been taught that is superior to black people. You are a racist when you tell yourself that you're superior to another ethnic group. That is racism. I've not heard it from Dr. Hines. I've not heard it from Mark Benchcop. I've not heard it from Sherrod Duncan. I've not heard it from Richard Burke that they are superior to any Indo-Guyanese. But Goku calls them racist. And in particular, he calls Dr. Hines racist. And to prove his case, he says Dr. Hines is racist because he fights for black people. Black people who have all the freedom in this country. But yet, hundreds of them were dismissed from the public service where Goku says they control the majority jobs. Hundreds of them were dismissed without due consideration or reasons when the cabal took office. And they remain dismissed and they have not been compensated with a dime. All they receive is what they were due in terms of wages and salaries and maybe other benefits up to the time of their dismissal. They ain't get no severance pay and they ain't get $250,000 because they're out of work. They ain't get $250,000 grants. Many of them are still holding pink slips. But yet they have so much freedom in this country. Many of them can't get approval for certain kinds of businesses in this country. A few of them who were granted approval for certain kinds of businesses in this country, like fuel importation, while the coalition was in office, had their licenses taken away immediately after the cabal took over. Many of them who were given lands integral to the growth and development of their businesses like Sivan's Waste Management and Carcare Enterprise and so on, were given hell to keep those lands because attempts were made to take them away when the cabal came. But Guyanese, black Afro-Guyanese have so much freedom in this country and they can do as they like according to Gokul. But they can't open businesses in certain sectors. Very few of them, if any at all, almost none of them, have a stake in the oil sector, whether onshore or offshore services. Because entry into that sector is made difficult for them. Import-export, entry into that sector is made difficult for them. And that is why we usually ask where is the alternative when we say boycott. That is why the Indians dominate and the Portuguese dominate. Historically, you will see that a plantocracy, the colonial masters, had on the books, if they have been removed, laws were on the books to prevent black people getting into certain sectors of the economy and to give an unfair advantage to the Portuguese, for example. In the import business. And so up until now, black people are facing those upward challenges. But black people got all the freedom according to Buddha, including the freedom to rape. Well, let me talk about rape. Y'all want to talk about rape? Let's talk about rape. Since I was a little boy growing up, and the evidence is still there, that rape is cultural to the Indians. Note I said it is cultural to the Indians. Whether it is statutory rape or other forms of rape, it is cultural to Indians. It starts in the homes, many homes, it starts there. Incest is rape. Fathers deciding, I me make them, I me mind them, I me have them. They must get first touch of the underage children. Is incest, but is rape. And they cover it down. Because be family secret, I don't want nobody know. Then go cuss me. Now go station. Are you daddy? It happens across this country. Many Indian families can tell you about it. Per capita, I guarantee there is more rape among Indians than there is among black people. Whether perpetrated on the other people or their own people. I guarantee you that. Go check the records. Just as how suicide is dominant among Indians, sometimes you need to find out the reasons behind those suicides. We don't confront these issues. We don't talk about them. We don't like to talk about them. Because many of us don't want to be called racist. But if you're going to drop it at the door, one more, let's talk about it. Last week, God rest the dead. My sympathies to the family. There was a murder in Lusignan or somewhere, an Indian community, where a man strangled his spouse. He choked her to death. If you look, if you follow the story, you will understand that rape was involved. If I remember clearly, he might be 43. She started something. Let's say she started 7. They had a 25-year-old relationship. But when you did the calculation, she and that man, and all the men that she is, none of my business. But let me talk about rape. He's older than she is. But when you do the math, the two of them became involved in that relationship when she was mere 13 years old. She was only 13, below the age of consent. Yes, she was 38, and they had a 25-year relationship. And he was older than she is, much older too. And at the end of the day, he choked her to death. Rape was involved. She was only 13. And the possibility is, rape started the relationship. And in many of these Indian communities, that is what happens. Then they might rape them girl. Their parents come together and say, let me marry them. Now let me go station. You're not going to look good. Now let me son go to jail. Me beg you better. Let me settle them, let me marry them. Quick time they get a bamboo wedding. Yeah, want me talk, let me talk. You like to tell black people, you get your mother all over the place and so on. Indians got your mother all over the place too. Black men are like married. Black men may not be married. They might live home. But Indians just live home too. But the thing is, when black people are honest about their marital arrangements, we live in home, we ain't married. Indians say, I'm your husband. Are we married under bamboo? There's no legality. There's no more entitlement marrying under bamboo than there is living home. Jagdio married under bamboo. And the nation came to realize, that was a big farce. Because they ain't got no legality on the marriage under bamboo. And he never legalized it because he never registered it. So Jagdi was president of this country, they live in home like any other black man. Where the cost there? Where the cost there? Rape you're talking about? An enterprise will tell you that anytime after 5:30 or 6 in the afternoon, they dare not walk those roads alone. Ask them. Go and more, go find out. Go enterprise, go find out. Those young ladies prefer stay at the park till Die Kingdom come. Forget one bus to carry them in an enterprise or in a more. Because when them go, a public road after certain hour when them can't get a taxi, then they're not walking. What happens? They are snatched by their own and raped. Y'all hear what me say? Rape is an Indian cultural thing. Check on the international scene. Indian women are raped in the streets of India. And they dare not complain because they got stoned to death in this 2021 year. And Gokul has the temerity to talk about blacks raping Indians in this country without consequence. Bring the evidence. Bring it. Bring it. That is how they stereotype us. That is what they use to set the minds of their children against us, to see us as lesser beings. They're barbaric. They're bullies. They're thieves. They don't like work. They like children mother all over the place. And let's address those stereotypes and see where they rightfully belong. See where they rightfully belong. You want to know a story? You go and talk with some Indian girls or women who have relationships with black men. There's some who have been strong enough to walk away from their relatives despite all that they tell them. Despite how much they outcast them. They've been strong enough to start and maintain relationship with black people, black men. And you go and talk with them and they will tell you, for the greater part, they are treated better than black men, better by black men than they're treated or they were treated with Indian men, men of their own type. Go find that out. Ask them why they chose to leave their own kind and go and start relationship with blacks. They will detail for you a history of being raped and abused by their own type. And the love with which they are treated by black men. Rape and abuse y'all talking about? I heard an Indian woman say, the man told a man done with you, you're not good for nothing. Even ants can't find juice by you. Let's be honest. Respect for women, or disrespect for women rather, check the Indian community. Check the Indian community. Rape has been on show by Indians in this country, Indians in high society, Indians in government. You remember, you had a minister of government who impregnated a 13-year-old Amerindian girl. You remember? Public outcry. Barjagdio removed him from office, but kept him in the bosom of the government. Rape is culture. Sexual abuse is cultural. Incest is cultural among the Indians. I'm not saying rape doesn't take place in every other ethnic group. It takes place. Human frailties, but per capita, almost as a norm. You check the Indian community. So Gokul, I think your LinkedIn said you are an analyst. You need to start analyzing the facts and present them. Present your findings accurately. Don't bring that at our door. We don't have freedom in this country. We don't have freedom to be employed according to our qualification. Recent example, a Jamaican eminently qualified, heads and shoulders above Vishnu Prasad at GCOM, but he didn't get the job. He didn't get the job. People like Mark Bino, people like Vince Adams, unmatched in their qualification and experience in the areas where they worked. They were removed, unceremoniously removed, dismissed by this cabal. And replaced by people who are lesser qualified than they are. And you check throughout the country and you will see that. What freedom is Gokul talking about? Brings to mind the other one who said that black people are representative in their numbers in the PPP government, because if you look at the population spread, they are represented in the government according to the percentage in the population. Even if those numbers are representative, let us investigate the impact of their presence. Let us investigate the freedom with which they have to make decisions. He dares not put a signature to anything without their okay. We could talk the thing. Gokul, go back, do your research, bring the data, and let us talk about freedom and rape. Racism and rape. Racists and rapists. It is now 8 hours 12. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. You're tuned to the Buxtonian Morning Time. this is Konganaya outside of Demico, the western pavement of Demico. And they are, of course, performing some cultural tunes Saturday morning. When we remembered Zion, Rastafari. Welcome to another program of BUXTONIAN Morning Time. It's the 22nd day of December in the year 2021. A lot of women know what I talk about when I say the morning after. It's the morning after. Or the morning after what? Normally, you had a bad night before you go to the farm. You go to the pharmacy and say, please sir, pack up morning after. Some things you can get rid of, or you can protect yourself, or you can take precautionary measures, preventative measures, even on the morning after. But there's some things in life, regardless of what you do, they're right there facing you. They're right there facing you. Vanessa Chambers, what's this number 22? Tell me about it. I want to hear. I like my y'all business, like y'all might like mine. Anyhow, some things you just have to live with, or you can change them. But changing them takes gall. You know when people talk about gall busting the fish, it's bitter. You have to be willing to deal with the bitterness that comes with it. It takes gall, it takes gumption, it takes testicular fortitude. You have to be strong. You got to be a man with spine or a woman with spine. As you know, they got some women who are 10 times stronger than men. Don't worry, men will try and tell you that woman strength is the mountain woman. They got some women got a belly to do what it takes. Likewise, they got some men who like cow shit. Y'all ever heard of one? Man like cow shit? Hard at top, soft at bottom. Yes, that to some extent describes people born under the star of Cancer also. Right? Vanessa said she was born on the 5th of May. She's now 22. Is that what I'm reading? I don't know. But we're talking about the morning after. Is the morning after the appeal court said that they can hear the appeal with regard to that petition that was thrown out for procedure. Now she's telling me this story. Y'all are stuck in codes. You know? Y'all are stuck in codes. What we're saying, it's the morning after the appeal court said, hey, majority, we can hear this. Despite the fact that the High Court threw it out for procedure. You know what happened after that pronouncement? Single source Dharamlal. Single source Dharamlal said that the judges should be fired. The judges should be fired. Why should they be fired? Let's ask ourselves that question. Why should they be fired? Why should the judges be fired? I could only come up with one reason. I could only come up with one reason. What do you think is the reason? I believe that they should be fired because, first and foremost, they ruled against, or they ruled in a way that the PPP is not comfortable with. Right? PPP is not comfortable that petition 99 is going to get heard, because that's where all of the evidence coming from the recount can be found. Right? They're not happy with that. So these judges who ruled that this petition can be entertained, and so all the nastiness which took place in the last election will come to the fore, should be fired. Is that the only reason why they should be fired? I'm saying no. I'm saying no. I'm saying the other reason why they should be fired, as a matter of fact, it might be the principal reason in Dharamlal's mind, is because they're black. Note who the judges are that rule that the petition can be heard. Chancellor of the Judiciary, acting, Yonette Cummings Edwards. And Justice of Appeal, Don Gregory Barnes. The other judge in the case was Rishi Prasad. So it's a case of two Afro-Guyanese ruling that yes, this case can be heard. And Rishi Prasad having a dissenting view. Right? Rishi Prasad having a dissenting view. Now, I want you all to pay attention to what goes on at the appeal court. For every election case that went to the appeal court, Rishi Prasad disagreed with the decisions of the other judges. Every case that went to the appeal court with relation to the elections. And so the question I want to ask is Rishi Prasad smarter than the other appeal court judges? Or he has his biases towards a particular group? Because one would believe, as they say, majority rules, one would believe that if 2 or 3 judges, 2 of 3, will rule in a particular way, there must be some basis for that ruling. There must be some basis to that ruling. Are these 2 judges so biased that regardless of the evidence presented against them, they're going to rule in a certain way? This is a majority ruling. And this little boy single source Dharamlal, the one who tried to give contract to the printing company belonging to his wife or ex-wife or, his son's mother, whatever, however you want to call it. His child's mother, child mother. Indian people that get child mother, I didn't even realize though. Right? And was caught doing it only after only after having already given 1 or 2 of them. The same little boy that decided that he is going to take the local government subvention from all the NDCs and spend it as he wishes. The same little boy that posing up alongside large heaps of garbage. Before arranging or providing people's resources to clean it out. And then pose up on the cleanup spot to get attention. That same little boy who doesn't have a modicum of integrity to say that these judges who've been serving this country, I dare argue with distinction, despite all the discrimination they face, Chancellor has been acting for forever. Right? He has the temerity to say they should be fired. Well, he and the entire PPP government should be fired. Because the evidence is out there. They're a discriminatory lot. They're a bigoted lot. They're a racist lot. They're corrupt. All the evidence is out there. Check from him awarding printing contract to his son's mother. Check from him single sourcing lights and crusher run, among other things, with NDC subvention and paying exorbitant prices, twice and thrice the price for items that you can get at 1/3 of what he had listed as the cost. Check how they paid hundreds of millions to the PYO boys and girls in Berbice to do a flood assessment, flood loss assessment for the farmers, instead of allowing the regional agricultural officers to do it. Check that out. And there's so many other instances of the corrupt practices and discriminatory practices. They should be fired. The evidence is out on them. Let's talk about discrimination. Public servants will get $7,000 hampers in lieu of Christmas parties. Well, they got their $7,000 hampers. The people have been working day out, day in, serving this country. Under risky situations. Under poor working conditions. Public servants were granted their $7,000 hampers in lieu of Christmas party, where funds were available. I'll show those hampers to you just now. But PPP party supporters, were granted hampers valued multiple times at $7,000, not for serving the public, but for supporting the PPP. Monday, there was a distribution at the Lusignan Center ground. 3/4 salt bag, as we like to call them, salt bag. Not the handbags made out of salt bag, but the salt bags themselves. Usually those bags are rice bags or polyurethane bags, let's call them by the right name. Right? Whole rice bag ration, 3/4 rice bag ration to PPP supporters using the nation's resources. They didn't have to be public servants. Some of them never work no way. Some of them don't work no way. But they happen to live in a community that is supportive of the PPP. And in families that are known PPP supporters. They never pay taxes. They don't give back anything to the state. But they got 3/4 rice bag full, filled with ration of all types. But the people who have been serving this country through thick and thin got $7,000 hampers in lieu of Christmas parties. You know what those hampers are? What those hampers look like? An embarrassment, an insult, not only to the public servants, but to the people themselves who distributed those hampers. That's what I see it as. An insult. I am talking about salt bag. Right? The hampers could fit in those shopping bags made out of salt bags and not full it. Y'all hear what I said? It will fit in the shopping bags made of salt bags, but it will not full it. It was that much. The $7,000 hamper was that much compared to what the public servants got. Right? I got a voice note telling you what is in the bag. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, and that is what the Ministry of Agriculture. That's the Christmas cheers for public servants. If by chance you can't make you can't recognize everything, it's a can of Danish cookies, a small bottle of
This is what is in the hamper for Ministry of Agriculture.
If by chance you can't make you can't recognize everything, it's a can of Danish cookies, a small bottle of soybean oil, a small bottle of Prestige green seasoning, a small bottle of ketchup, a small can of corn, a small bottle of mustard, a packet of four-leaf milk, a small bottle of mayonnaise, a bottle of a bottle of barbecue sauce, a box of macaroni and cheese, and what else? What else is here I'm seeing? Oh, a bottle of wine. Yes, a bottle of wine. Yes, I hope I don't miss anything. Oh, a bottle of casrip, a small bottle of Prestige casrip, and a small bottle of Chinese sauce too. That's it. That's the Christmas cheers for public servants.
All I want
as
to say,
if by chance you can't make you can't recognize everything. If by chance you can't make you can't recognize everything, it's a can of Danish cookies, a small bottle of soybean oil, a small bottle of Prestige green seasoning, a small bottle of ketchup, a small can of corn, a small bottle of mustard, a packet of foreign leaf milk, a small bottle of mayonnaise, a bottle of a bottle of barbecue sauce, a box of macaroni and cheese, and what else? What else is here I'm seeing? Oh, a bottle of wine. Yes, a bottle of wine. Yes, I hope I don't miss anything. Oh, a bottle of casrip, a small bottle of Prestige casrip, and a small bottle of Chinese sauce too. That's it.
so that's the Christmas hamper. That's the Christmas hamper. And I want you to note, you know, sometimes I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Anyways, before I tell you what I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, you see that beautiful picture there? Yeah, watch it, man. Come down to Kidam's place. That's a new look bar for you. Come and have some fun. Good? The COVID unit said they're shutting down all Christmas parties and so on. This is private place. Right? This is private place. When I close my 10-foot fence and gate, we're having a private event. We ain't got no time with them on the Christmas party. We living at B. Right? So come and check it out. Come and get your drinks and have some relaxation time and thing. Come out to the rush. Anyhow, we're talking about this hamper. Now I want you to recognize, I said it before, ministers and their assistants and concubines and cohorts will not be going home with any $7,000 hamper. That's the start with. They won't. Well, we already see the evidence. Because they gave to their supporters, their party loyalists, 3/4 sal bag items. A whole set of items they give to the party loyalists, right? Good. Compared to that small list of things which we just identified. But one of the things to note, and they say the little things matter, is that no thought to start with went into the put together of this hamper. Right? If you look at the bar, if you listen to the contents, I don't think you can take anything out of there and make a meal. I don't think you can make a meal out of anything there. It would be a hard task. You got to be a magician to make a meal out of that bag. Everything in that bag might be there to complement the meal. Can't make a meal on its own. Keep that in mind. Secondly or thirdly, there is no patriotism. You hear what I'm saying? No patriotism exhibited in the construction of that hamper, the putting together of that hamper. Is everything imported? Where are the local produce? This is the Ministry of Agriculture we're talking about. They should be pushing local. They should be encouraging local. But no, let me give them little can thing and little bottle thing and so. In short, it looked like, listen, let me just get rid of this $7,000. This is stress. Maybe the person that is gave the task of putting the hamper together, saying, look, oh, this is stress. I don't know who you could buy with $7,000 to give people. Look, oh, let I go, wherever I find, I can buy. And that is the work, what their workers ended up with. An insult to public servants. An insult to public servants. Well, I was brought up saying that you shouldn't be poor and public. You shouldn't be poor in public. And regardless about the bad, they would have been keeping the hamper. They would have been keeping the hamper. Because you're not going to add insult to injury. You already gave me a lousy 7%. I took it basically because I'm entitled to increases in wages and salaries. I've worked for that. And then you come and you throw these pittances at me. Yeah, I hungry belly black man, take him. Are you want hamper? Are you hungry belly black man? And I'm very deliberate in saying, are you hungry belly black man? Because let me put it into perspective for you. There are Indians in the public servants, in the public service. There are Indians in the public service. But compared to the number of blacks, they're the minority. They're minuscule. And so there is a small number of Indians who will be offered these hampers, this insult. But they will be assured that Anil and Dharamlal and Batilayan and the others will be bringing bigger and better hampers to us at home in our communities. So let us take these as a show, as if all we getting the same bad treatment. But in the back of our minds, we know that bigger and better things coming to our communities. So them hungry belly black man go get a 7,000 hamper with that crap inside. And we will collect the crap. And we will also get big and better hampers. So as a matter of fact, let me be a little comical about it. But sometimes that's your thought processes. If you look at the hamper, everything in the hamper is intended to supplement or complement a meal. The condiments, right? So maybe they gave the condiments to the public servants and they gave a ration to their supporters. And so the supporters who are also public servants will get the condiments to go with the ration when they prepare the meal. But when you tell people that this embarrassment, this insult, this assault on their integrity and their pride must be put to a stop, and they must withdraw their services. They tell you it's Christmas. Teachers, when their salaries were held, they said the term finished already, Christmas term finished, there's no point in striking. But January term has to start. And as people say, you must bear fire rage. You must bear malice. And so when January comes, you should not be going to work. You should call a strike from the first day of school. And those of you who are still on the jobs in the different departments of government, this is an opportune time to strike. Guess what? Official payday was about 5 days ago. You don't get pay for December. Strike. You don't get pay for December. Withdraw your labor. Bring the country to a halt. Bring the public service to a halt. From now. You don't get pay, you know. Your next pay date is in January. But they and their enablers, have business to conduct, barriers to clear, containers to clear, money to launder. They got business to conduct. And so if you withdraw your services now, you will have an impact on them. It is a critical and crucial time to withdraw your services. 3 days to Christmas, people are going dead. A lot of people are going to commit suicide. Y'all might think it's a joke. But when a certain set of people come under pressure, the fastest thing they can turn to is rope or a concoction. Put them under pressure. You know, you can take action. But what makes your actions strategic or make your actions impactful is when you can be strategic about it. Right? My encouragement to you, this is the time. Today's Wednesday, you got Thursday and you got Friday. Saturday is Christmas, they say, I think so. And then you have the whole of next week. Do your thing. Put them under pressure. If you can't choose when to strike to get maximum impact, you can't do yourself any good. If you're going to sit down and accept these embarrassments, all that will happen is that it will continue to happen. 7%. 2 months tax-free salaries for nurses. I don't think I heard the announcement for the army and police yet. Usually they will get a month. The rest of the public service, 7% taxed. Gaisuko, 7%. Is Gaisuko a public service entity? Because what was announced was wages and salaries increased 7% for public servants. Is Gaisuko a public service entity? Are Gaisuko employees public servants? As far as I know, the answer to that is no. As far as I know. Did I say 2 months of nurses? Sorry. 2 weeks, right? Gaisuko is not a public service entity. How do they qualify for 7%? And how does 7% add up for them? We know the minimum wage for public servants is about $70,000. The lowest paid Gaisuko worker will earn at least $100,000. Lowest paid. So 7% for the Gaisuko workers, of course, far exceeds 7% of what public servants were given. But Gaisuko workers were also given a $250,000 grant. The conditions of work in terms of allowances and so on is much better than public servants. The majority of them are in communities. Where these big hampers and under the table grants are going on a weekly basis. But public servants are willing to sit back and watch this disproportionate distribution of the country's wealth. The widening of the income gap, the creation of haves and have-nots to the detriment of them, and do nothing but continue to be servants. Well, I'm sorry if you think I'm insulting. But if that's your mentality, then the only treatment you can get is servant treatment. The only thing you can get is what people believe servants deserve. You know what I'm saying? Unless we are determined in our minds to change the status quo, unless we recognize the value of our services, unless we recognize the value of what we bring as a group of people, unless we respect that value and we're prepared to defend it at all costs, we are not going to get better. We certainly are not going to get better. Not from this government, and quite frankly, not from any government. Because unless you're prepared to struggle for what you rightfully deserve, what you're settling for is what governments decide they would like to give to you. So my encouragement is stop settling. Stop settling. Stop settling. Demand. Power concedes nothing. You have to demand what you want. You have to stand up for what you want. You have to fight for what you want. And that's my message this morning. This is the time. You have an opportune time now. You don't get paid. All of you studying, if I ain't get paid for December, I'm going to starve. You don't get paid. Think about crossing the next bridge when you get to it. But for now, let us do as much damage as we can do. Withdraw your services. Create Hamburg. Let people perish. Let people perish. The enablers who are going to get big duty-free concessions for all the items that they're bringing in now, let them feel the squeeze. Let them wait till next year for them. Some may perish by then. Others may lose market value by then. And some will simply be out of season. And so the enablers of the PPP shall feel the squeeze, just as you're feeling it squeeze as public servants with this disrespect. It is now 8 hours 1. Let's open up the line. 6225933 is the number to call. Remember, if you're looking for some stress relief, where to turn to? Kiram's Place. This is our new look. Still work in progress, but take the opportunity to introduce it to you early o'clock, so you know where you can turn to. Anytime after 4, you can turn up and you can get a cold one. You can order some fish and chips or chicken and chips, whatever. Cheese, please, and so on. Relax with the boys and girls and have a good time out of the limelight. You know, the COVID bus only turns up where the COVID bus sees a crowd. And if you're in a place like Kiram's Place, they have to have X-ray technology to see what's happening inside, number one. And number two, I'm almost sure you'll be comfortable here. No crowds to bother you. No crowds to put you at risk. Small numbers are entertained. It's off the main road. It's out of the limelight. Come on, have a good time. Prices to match your pocket too. Management understands that your 7% is only about $4,900 on your monthly salary. Oh, Lord. Yes, Eliza, 6225933 is the number to call. And as you see the projector up there, I'm reminded you can sing some karaoke too. Some of you like to sing. Some people are happy unless they got a mic in their hand. Kiram's Place. It's sideline down Buxton North. Call it live. Good morning.
Morning to Daki. Morning, Guyana. Great place, looking place you have there. When I do come there, when I do get to Guyana, definitely will come and support you. Now, getting back to the task at hand, what you're asking the public employees to do, you know, is gallant, but they're not going to do it. They're preoccupied with Christmas and all that, the rest of stuff. And in my estimation, nothing is going to happen because, again, they're scared. And, you know, they don't know the value of themselves. And just like a lot of African people in Guyana and all over, don't know the value of themselves. So until their understanding of the deep heritage and, you know, and where we come from, they're going to not look at themselves as people who are great and can do a lot of things. So we've been, you know, dumbed down, and we'll continue to be dumbed down, and, you know, until we able to understand that we as Africans are able to fight, but they're not fighting. So what is it that you've been talking all along for them to strike, shop where they're wanted? They're not simply doing that. So come the new year, it's probably gonna be the same old, same old. The new school semester start next month, but I know they're saying that, well, we don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but in my estimation, nothing is going to be done, and they're going to continue to be scared by the PPP government, and I don't know. It's like you've got to throw up your hands and say, damn, when are these people going to come out? And I'm sure that you've been, many times possibly throw up your hands, but hey, that's you. But in my estimation, nothing is going to happen, sir. That's my take.
Thank you. I got a fair belief that you're right in your take. But like I usually say, we can encourage. It's up to those who are encouraged to recognize the wisdom in the encouragement. Quite frankly, I'm my own type of rebel. Those who work with me in the public and private sector will know the kind of rebel I am. And they will tell you I will look at whoever it is straight in the eyes and say, you can't pass me. Who you giving that to? You could carry it home because you might be more in need of it than I am. Or as we like to say, you could stuff it where the monkey stuffed its nuts. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. I don't know. Sometimes it pains me. It pains me to see where we are as a people and how people, the majority of the people that is, can allow a small few to disrespect and take so much advantage of them. Right? There are many persons who are giving to charities. Furthermore, I can tell you, in the last couple of weeks, I've been involved in giving stuff to folks leading up to the holidays. I ain't got access to government funds. But I can tell you straight off that the value of what was in those bags, those packages, is way past $7,000. And thought went into putting it together. One of the first things I like to think about when I'm giving people hamper is, boy, if they got rice, salt and sugar, they get a start. Rice, you only have to find a coconut somewhere, you can knock some shine rice. Good? That's how you put hampers together. You think about what the building blocks of a meal are. And you try to provide those, the most important in many instances. But not this set of clowns that we have to deal with. Caller, live, good morning. Caller, you are live, good morning. Caller, you are live, good morning. Something wrong here. Good, I know that. We lost that call. Oh boy. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Six two two 5933 is the number to call. The lines remain open. Call and let's talk the thing. If not, we can finish at 8:30 like norm. Or like it was originally intended to be. Call in live, good morning. Caller, you are live. Good morning. I'm not hearing it, caller. I'm sure it's not my device. Morning, caller. Hello.
Internet just get on it, cut off, it bouncing. So I know.
GT&T is dealing bumper bars now. Is that what the caller is saying? The internet bouncing? Caller, live. Good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. I need you to help me to understand this situation. What is this obsession with giving out hampers and doling out these grants? Can't people spend their own money? Why you have to decide that you must have a small bottle of ketchup and nonsense like that? You should be able and old enough to control the use of your resources. It's nonsense. Hampers, and then the distribution is questionable. The sourcing of the hampers, if I may say, could also be questionable.
Don't go off the line when you're done. I'm listening.
Hello?
Yes, you're here.
Yes, I think it's disgusting and an insult. I would be most upset if somebody gave me a hamper like that as appreciation for my years of service or my year of service in this pandemic.
You see, caller, you have to decide whether or not they're giving you the hamper as encouragement or discouragement.
Well, I would hand it back.
I think it's discouragement.
It's nonsense. It is absolute nonsense. If you say, okay, COVID, no party, that is it. No party. Don't hand me an excuse of I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even want to call it a hamper, because a hamper is supposed to be something largus, something good, something that you would want to use, with all the little extras in it. But at the moment, this country can't even extend the extras. We're surviving on bare minimum, if you're lucky, depending on where you're working, of course. Anyway, boys, stay safe. God bless you.
Thank you, caller, and have a good season. I know we made out before, but let me extend wishes to you, warm wishes to you and your family ahead.
Same to you.
Thank you. You know, the caller raised two important points. Let me deal with the obvious one first. And that is, the sourcing of these items might be questionable. Questionable in that the PPP is known to channel the government, the state's resources to its enablers. And so in agencies where funds are available to pack and create those to provide those hampers to employees, to staff members, the instructions will be clear that you must only source from certain businesses. And those businesses that you will source from are primarily PPP enablers. I can tell you that. I can name some of them. Good? And that's the first thing, the questionable sourcing. Questionable sourcing. The items are going to be coming from businesses that support the PPP. Some of them are owned by players in the PPP, whether as sole ownership or partnership. That's a fact. Now the caller asks the question, why give hampers instead of the money? Can't I spend the money for myself? You know, the oppressors got a way of devising ways and means of keeping you oppressed. You see, if we give you money, no matter how small that money, some people are smart enough to multiply that money. And when that money multiplies, it puts them in a better position. For example, if you give a man like me $7,000, I gotta look for something that I could spend it on that will make it long lasting. For example, $7,000 to me might represent a flock of Creole fowls, right? Or maybe ducks. I don't know if $7,000 can buy a sheep, a small pig perhaps, right? Some people will have that vision. And so if you have 5 persons in your home getting $7,000, I mean, that's a crazy calculation. And if 5 of you can agree that, hey, we will pool this $7,000 and we're going to fix the whole step, that improves our lives by leaps and bounds. And so the oppressors always calculate how to keep you oppressed. And one of the ways to keep you oppressed is to give you food because you're hungry belly. And food, you're going to either eat it and shit it out like I said previously, or if you leave it, it will spoil eventually. It doesn't add real value to you. And that is why they don't give you money. They rather give you food because that really can't add value to your life. At least not long term. Can't form capital. Call your life, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. First of all, I want to say to you, season greetings to you and your entire family, and the extension to the listening public. This program or this media is serving us well in the diaspora, and I would like to see this program continue. Secondly, I want to congratulate Mr. Norton, and I know he has a mandate now, and he needs to mobilize his people in moving forward against this wicked, reckless PPP cronies administration. And I want to extend on the 7% they give to nurses. Unfortunately, every time the PPP give out a handout, they use Afro-Guyanese as the front page. Guys who go to put a couple black people in front receiving the check, they're so happy, but does not reflect the masses that reap havoc from this guys who got $250,000. Now they pick a couple nurses and put in front receiving a check. But when there is important issues, international forum, the house slaves are kept in the back. They slip them through the back door. Baby Satan in front. Dummy Ali next to him. Annie Lemuel is there. Black people need to wake up. And this is the time. AP and UFC have a good leader now. And 2022 should be a year of change for Afro-Guyanese. We must not sit back and settle for mediocreness because Guyana is moving. Unfortunately, it is moving and the black people is leaving behind. How long more can we go on with this? This is the time, my brother. Thank you very much and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you very much. Let's remember 622593 is the number to call. I keep getting inquiries about former Minister of Finance Winston Jordan's condition. He's on the mend. He's optimistic that sooner rather than later he will be able to come back and continue talking with us about those economic matters and so on. Right? In the meantime, you're encouraged to keep him in your prayers and keep observing yourself. Remember some of the advice that he would have given in terms of how you treat with this season when people expect you to go deep into your pockets, etc., etc. It's about self-empowerment, right? We have to learn to boycott and so on. buy less, buy more at home, and stuff like that. Calling Live, good morning.
Hi, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Season greetings, first of all. I was looking at the internet article which talks about the minister saying that she needs our teachers to be licensed going forward. What I want to say is the issue is not really with the licensing, the issue is about training. If you want to employ a license to teachers, I would suggest that you put proper training measures in place so these teachers can be all on the same board. And even if they're not on the same board, they should have sufficient knowledge and skills being implied to them on a regular basis so they can be more equipped in the classrooms. In addition to that, if you're talking about training and license, if these people are not a part of your arm or in your support, I notice that there's always a penalty or some harsh measures being implied upon you. What if they implement or can they implement for the police department? If we look at the America or the Europeans, whenever there is an incident involve some outcry from the citizens where police has done anything bad, there's always a committee that meets and determine a better situation or a better process going forward. And there's always training about it so that people could be in a better understanding of how both sides need to handle the situation. Most of the times, if a police, let's say the chokehold was implied, they're gonna have training so that police would not use a chokehold going forward. If you want to talk about teachers having a license, I understand it's a good thing, but the teachers need to have training, not just license, because you know, anybody can get a license. They can forge you in and get a license, but then if you don't have the necessary training, you won't be competent in the classrooms. And like I said, the police need to also have training too. I don't hear anybody talking about any training about the negligence that the police committed for them to rectify these things. So going forward, there wouldn't be much outcry from the citizens about these things. That's my contribution.
Thank you. Let me you can see or you can go. Let me just engage a little of what you said. I don't believe training is the major issue in this country where our teachers are concerned. I think our teachers are trained. Some of them are well trained, and I can talk from a position of experience. I've been in the teaching profession. I'm not a trained teacher, but many of my friends are trained teachers. And I like to refer to those who left these shores. Because they left when they went into the developed world, and they're shining examples of excellent teachers. Some of them without the benefit of additional training. I currently have a buddy friend, as I like to say, in China. And during the pandemic, he was forced to teach virtually. And one of the things he shared with me, he said, you know, Kidaki, when I received certain training in college and university, I used to say, this will really and truly not be of use to me. But only until I got here, I was really able to utilize that knowledge. And it was extremely helpful. Good? So my thing is, you can call for licensing of teachers. But if you want to follow the first world examples and talk about licensing, then you have to talk about the benefits and the packages. The issue with teachers in this country, I believe, is the provision of poor or no support from the subject ministries. Teachers in this country, and they will tell you that if you inquire, they're supposed to receive a grant termly, I think, for the provision of teaching aids. In this country, teachers don't oftentimes see that grant. They have to dig deep into their own pockets to prepare those teaching aids if they want their lessons to make sense and if they want their classrooms to be student friendly. Those are some of the issues which the ministry and Sitara Gal must address, even while they're talking about licensing teachers. Because don't license teachers and use the license as the sword of Damocles over their head. Withdrawal of license and so on as a means of threatening and coercing them into doing what you want when you're not providing the necessary support and resources. That is my concern.
And then who's going to pay for the license?
Well, obviously, if you want to drive a car, you have to pay for your license. But the question is, if I'm getting a license to drive a car, I know for a fact that income generating from that car can cover the cost of my license. Are my salaries as a teacher going to be commensurate with the fact that I'm now licensed? Right? Those are some of the issues we need to raise.
This is a form of punishment. Yes,
that's how I see it.
Prosperity for the department.
That's how I see it as punishment. Because if you strike, if you withdraw your service, I will withdraw your license.
I believe the underlying factor here is that they want to get a card to hold over these teachers if they decide to strike going forward. Like, hey, I'm going to revoke your license if you strike. You know, that's what I believe.
Thank you, caller.
All right, sir.
Lines remain on 6225933 is the number to call. It's now 8 hours 27. You see, the PPP government is about control. And a lot of people don't, you know, you got to study the beast to understand the beast. A lot of public servants were happy and in celebratory mood. Some of them still celebrate that they can sign contracts instead of going on a fixed pensionable. They can be employed as a public servant on contract instead of being on a fixed pensionable establishment. You know what the PPP did that for? Control. Because if you are on a year contract, or a 2-year, even a 5-year contract with the government of Guyana, and you don't play according to their rules, you don't do what they want you to do, whether legal or illegal, legitimate or illegitimate, then they dangle that contract over your head. You're not playing ball, boy, and if you're not playing ball, we're not going to renew your contract when it comes to an end. And so you find yourself in a spot where you either play ball or you get punished by not having your contract renewed. That is what the PPP is using these contractual public servants positions for. But if you applied and you went on to the fixed pensionable establishment as a public servant, then to discipline you or even to fire you, it is a public service commission that had that authority. And so you stand a better chance of making your case to the Public Service Commission as against having to make a case to a PPP appointed permanent secretary. Because a PPP appointed permanent secretary will be carrying water for the PPP. But the possibility is the Public Service Commission will be less biased. And that is what a lot of folks didn't realize, and still a lot of them don't even realize. They talk about getting 6 months gratuity. Yeah, 6 months gratuity. Every 6 months I get a lump sum equivalent to 22.5% of my salary or something like that. Some of them see it as a means of splurging at the end of every 6 months. Blasé. Some people get to buy cars. Some people get to do things because they're smart. But just understand that when you sign your last contract, when your last contract is up, basically that's the last of your income from that job. But if you're on a fixed pensionable, then you work, you get allowances, you get leave passage and all of that. You get all of that. You're entitled to all of that on an annual basis. And your leave passage allowance and whatever else. Sick leave, UPA, days and so on. You get all of that. But after reaching the age of retirement, you get a lump sum gratuity. You get a lump sum gratuity, and you also get your pensions. Now with a lump sum gratuity over 20, 30 years, because I think you have to do approximately, is it 23 and 1/3 minimum, right? Years. But when you get your lump sum gratuity over that, at the end of that period, it usually comes up to something sizable that you can make a solid investment with. And if you make a solid investment, then the returns are likely to be solid. 33 and 1/3, right? Likewise, along with that lump sum, you almost immediately get pension. NIS pension, then old age pension. So you're reaping your fruits at the end of your day. At the end of the season harvest, if you want to call it that, you're getting your harvest. So your harvest at the end might appear bigger. But what I guarantee you is that being on the fixed pension level, you have security of tenure. They can't get rid of you just like that. In as much as they don't like the best bone in you, they have to make their case. But when they have you on contracts, they might be able to get rid of you immediately, but better sure that contract is going to come to an end. And then they have the option of not renewing it. And that is the setup a lot of people take. The PPP likes to control, and they put systems in place to keep you under control. The contract is just about one example, right? This same contract, this same license for teachers is another example. You will see what they will use it to do. Why do you think Priya is talking about it now? Because in her mind, she didn't get her way. They did not get their way with the compulsory vaccination thing. And so they went back to the drawing boards and they say, you know, if we had other way or means of coercing these people, we would have gotten them to do what we want. And so let us start thinking. Right? Let us start thinking about how we can control them going forward. Let's use the license. Let's use the license. I don't know how to pronounce this name. This GLNDL, I don't know, like it's just a set of words thrown together. Like this person had a difficult time in school to spell the name. Whatever it is though, you need to be a motivational speaker in Black empowerment. Thank you very much. I do that every day. But people don't recognize it as a service. When I tell them put some contribution in the Cash App or send me a raise, they got some people who say I'm begging. And I don't like beg, so I don't ask. Or I don't encourage. But thank you for recognizing my service, sir, or miss. Right? It's a service I provide here every day. Good. And while I might be doing it on social media and you recognize it on social media, I do it behind the cameras also. It's not everything that I do I have to put in the public for. Like I said, I've been dealing with hampers and so on for the last couple of weeks, assisting people and things. I don't believe when you give people charity, you need to be public about it. Right? Especially if they are in a worse state. You don't need to necessarily. But like in some organizations and so on, you need to do it for the records. Right? So I do my bit. I do my bit. Tasha Salat? Tasha knows that. Anyhow, let's move on with the program. It's 35 minutes to 9. 6225933 is the number to call. Call and let's talk the thing. Let's talk about all these plans and wickedness coming from this administration. $7,000 a hamper. I don't know. Compared to those big bags. If you see these bags, you know, the recipients of these bags struggle to carry them home, you know. It's a bright day for taxi. It's a bright day for taxi when you see the PPP goes into these communities to carry hampers for their supporters. And the public servants can just swing their black bag on the middle finger or the index finger and walk down the road with their hampers. And we talk about one Guyana. Just remembering the fat guy says this is one Guyana. One Guyana for some people, a different Guyana for others. Right? We got to do better. But we will only get better if we are determined to stand up and fight for it. Calling Live, good morning.
If we are determined. Yes, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. How are you this morning?
Well, you know, you've been hearing me.
Okay, you sound right. This is what I want to say concerning the hampers for the public servants. I know that every year they would have budgeted money for entertainment, and they the estimate would have those figures, and I'm sorry that every year they would spend millions of dollars on Christmas parties, and some of those senior persons, they would get lump sum money like to buy drinks and different things for their staff. I am certain that the party, whatever they would keep, would cost more than $7,000. So my thing is, if they were so concerned about these public servants and to give them like a little better Christmas, at least if they had $10 million to spend and they have 100 staff, they could have divided whatever it was among the staff and just give the people them their money. Who would want those little nonsense that they put together? And you know what I would like for you to do? If you can ask somebody to send you a picture of this hamper that they so gave, and maybe we could give it a heading. This is all public servants are worth in 2021, and just show people, because the lady calling the list, and like you have some ideas what these things look like. But when you have it together, the small bottle of this and that, people the world over would have an idea as to what public servants are worth according to this government. So if I want them, I want to collect anything. They should just collect them and rest them in front of the PS office or the minister office. This is how radical you have to get with these people. Or call somebody from the road and just distribute it right in front of the gate. Let us see that we could do better. Anyhow, you have a wonderful day, and I know that things will get better only if we come together and we fight them, and we will win. So you have a wonderful Christmas if you don't hear back from me, and God bless you and your family. Keep the work up.
Thank you, caller. Voice note.
Yeah, Kulaki, good morning. You know, one thing I realize, we listen to public servant. I feel we gotta get rid of the name public servant and start saying the public sector. Because like the name public servant got these people feeling like, if you know what I mean, they're still in slavery. So whoever master say goes. You understand? So I feel if we try to use public servants less and use the word public sector to describe these people, I feel we can start getting a change somewhere, you know, because the power of the tongue, you understand? So what's going on there, they feel like they're servants, so they're taking anything what master say, than the plantation, they're doing what they want, you understand? So I feel we need to start getting used to the word public sector.
Caller, thank you for holding your life.
Hi, good morning, Kadaki, and good morning to your listening viewers. Season greetings for the holiday. I just wanted to call in to give my bit on this, a few topics this morning. You know, as I think about the PPP, there is a level, and for a lack of a better term, there is a level of nastiness and a level of disdain and obnoxiousness for African Guyanese in our society. I don't think that our people should expect anything different than what they are witnessing and what they are seeing from the PPP and from that political regime when it comes directly to the public sector, when it comes directly to African Guyanese. I don't think that we should be any more relished in being shocked and surprised at anything that the PPP and this catfish government does towards African, the predominance of African Guyanese. I think it is time that we should see and we know the kind of beast who we're dealing with, and we ought to be thinking proactively about what do we do in our own communities for our own people, especially in this season, a time when so many of our brothers and sisters will be going without, or they would not know how they're going to survive, whether it's the holidays or whatever, because there is such a food depression happening in Guyana that no one sometimes is illuminating and highlighting. To me, it's not about what the PPP is doing. It's about what we must do for each other. And for those of us, and I'm going to challenge all of us that is on this call today and has been on this call, especially for most of us that resides in the diaspora, and that we are blessed to have enough that we can be able to remember our brothers and sisters at home, that we must not be on this platform and on this forum complaining only about and illuminating and highlighting and criticizing what the PPP is doing. The PPP is downright low down, nasty. They are completely vindictive and ugly, and we must not expect anything better than them. So it is a time for us to be able to put our money where our mouth is and be able to look out for our brothers and sisters in Guyana, though small it may be, that as we are thinking about the holidays for our families and we're blessed to be able to offer ourselves and our own families, that we must be able to look back for those that are at home. And I'm not talking about the ones that is on the street corner drinking a beer and the ones that is complete. I'm talking about the elderly. I'm speaking about kids in homes. I'm speaking about places where we understand that there is a real food deprivation in those areas for people that don't have it. And so we must not only be on this forum complaining and talking about and raising the issues. I agree. I'm one of those people that raises the issues. But it is important for us to be able to say, what can we do for our communities? And how can we contribute to them so that their lives can be a little better in some small way? And there are many, many of us that are so blessed in this season that we should be looking to give back and looking to pour back into our communities, because we already understand that the PPP and some of the Indians in Guyana, and I want to be very explicit about that, they have no purpose and no good for our black brothers and sisters. They don't care about us. Look at what they're doing in the public sector. Look at how they're treating them. And we don't need to be able to see anything else. We don't need any more empirical evidence to be able to be affirmative about what this ugly and nasty and dirty government is about. We have seen it. And so we must be able to not only enlighten our brothers and sisters, but we must be able to look back and give back in our communities. Because God helps those who help themselves. And we see what the Indian government is doing for our black people. So we must be able to do for our brothers and sisters. Those that have it must be able to help those that don't have it. And so this morning I challenge my brothers and sisters in all parts of the globe, in the diaspora, from Canada, from London, from the United States, all of us, wherever we are,
If we have enough that we can be able to go into a community and be able to bless someone this season, please do it. Don't wait for the government to treat us and to show us and to come in there and to give us something like we're begging. It is pathetic to see what this government is doing to our people. But we must rise up and stand up and be able to be accounted for in this season and thereafter. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Thank you, caller. It's now 40 minutes to the 6 o'clock. 40 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. You know, I was perhaps thinking about 6 to 9. This PPP government like to give Guyanese 6 to 9. You know, they're talking about, and this is the idiocy you can't understand. Right? Sitara says starting next year, 2022, which is a mere what? We got 22 and 9. A mere 10 days away. Starting 2022, teachers will have to be licensed. Calling you live, good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. But Kadaki, these people know for the public servants that that money that they were given, that cannot buy anything. That cannot buy nothing. That can't even buy beef. Can that buy chicken? No, I don't think that could buy anything. Maybe some mango. Like, oh, I like to eat mango. That's mango. That's mango money there. That's no money for those people there. I don't know how can they look to give them that type of money. And as the caller said, they don't care. They do not care. So I understand people there does not like to address issue. But you have to address issue before things get better. People need to sit down and analyze and look and see from this what had come upon them. They need to sit down, analyze it, and see where it is going. Because $2,000 or and change cannot do nothing in nobody's home. Take, for instance, those boxes that people send there. If you go down there and you do like maybe people call you up to tell you what comes out of the boxes. The box is empty. My sister friend called us here. That girl was in such angry and upset. The family sent things for them and half of the barrel was gone. They took out the stuff. It's a lot of them and she sent like 2 things each for everybody. They say, wait a minute, this is too much for one person. So they take out what they want and left an empty barrel. How can that be? So just to show you what is going on in the country, and then they're charging you so much to take out these things. It is stress upon top of stress. People have to sit down and analyze it, as the caller just said. Not because people outside of the United States or in Canada or in England, they're better off than you in Guyana, but people manage. You have to manage your money to say, well, today I'm going to do this, tomorrow I'm going to do the next when I get my paycheck. And that I could able to help someone outside of my home. So people need to sit down and analyze what the PPP are doing to them. I know they don't like to go with the racist business, but you have to look at it. Look at it. You see the young people who came out in the United States of America. It wasn't the black people. It was predominantly other skin color who came out and say, you guys got to do something. Do not step on people's neck and think you're going to get away with it. Okay? Good morning, Kadaki. Have a blessed day.
You too, caller.
Bye-bye.
It's now 10 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. Lines remain open. You tune to the BUXTONIAN morning time. Now, one of the things which has been happening in this country, which a lot of people perhaps haven't been paying attention to, especially with the Ministry of Education. You know, a lot of teachers and education administrators know of the intended policy or the policy of government through the news. A lot of these intended policies are not filtered down to the teachers through the official route before they hit the news, you know. It's just like Satari Gia goes to this function. She's looking for something to say that will impress people. And she opens her mouth, and teachers get to learn, hey, this is coming. For example, come 2022, teachers will have to be licensed. I wonder how many teachers read a circular, let's say 6 months ago, preparing them for this eventuality. My bet is none. Caller, your life, good morning.
Good morning, Brother Kadaki. Good morning to all the viewers and listeners. The point I would like to make this morning is about something that happened recently when I think it was yesterday or the day before when the judgment was given down with the election petition case. And we see one of the ministers jumped up and blatantly criticized the judge. That is so disrespectful. A judge, that is a senior judge, that is so and actually judges, because I guess there were more than one judge in the panel. But that is so disrespectful, and that mirrors also the situation happened with Christopher Jones when he was at his house, and then there was a judge that sent down an order saying that the police should not enter into the man's building, and I would say junior police officer blatantly disregarded that judge's order. So the thing is that people are talking that the people should go and defend these appeals board judges, pick it or whatever they want people to do. But what I'm saying is that where is the legal fraternity in Guyana? I mean a legal fraternity like other justices, judges, magistrates, even attorneys at law. Where are these people? This person has attacked one of their own. In the legal fraternity, any part of the world that happens, other people in that legal sphere will come up and defend those justices. That would have been the proper thing to do. But in Guyana, it seems like everyone is bought and sold, because they're supposed to be professional. And as a matter of fact, the justice section, justice department, we call it over here, they should be an arm of the government, right? The third arm of the government after the cabinet, and of course the executive arm. So what are they doing? This legal fraternity, no one is saying anything about this person, this minister who went up and disrespected the judges and calling for them being fired and all this kind of stuff, attack a judge. So I don't know what's going on. That's dictatorship. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. You have 6 minutes, so I can take another caller. So let's talk the thing. Notably absent for this week, I haven't heard from Coffee. I hope he is well. Minister Jordan says to remind you that he's on the mend. He's going to get back there at some point in time, and you'll be hearing from him sooner rather than later, I assume. It's now 6 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. You've been tuned to BUXTONIAN Morning Time. It's time for me to leave you. I encourage you to come on down to Kidam's place, opening up from 4 o'clock daily. And we have a nice and cozy atmosphere for you, as you can see the new look. And also, if you think you had enough to drink and you can't drive, there's a place where you can rest for the night. Or if you just want to get away, as one friend said to me, it's a nice place to clear your head. So if you just want to clear your head, there's a place for you. Lou's Bread and Breakfast. Bed and Breakfast. Check it out. Good. So in the meantime, between time, we are about to leave the morning after, when Darmlad believes the judges should be fired for doing their duties according to their interpretations of the law. And when public servants can get black plastic bags to take home for their Christmas hampers, or the equivalent of a black plastic bag, and PPP supporters can get A whole host. A whole host. 3/4 rice bag. They gotta get taxis to take them home with. Take this one as we leave.
This is Caribbean Vibes.